It's 8 o'clock.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Make We Talk program, a special edition this Saturday evening. I have with me none other than Dr. Angela Brown Burke. She's a member of Parliament for Southwest St. Andrew and a shorter spokesperson on Labour. We're going to speak to her about so many topics, the work that she's doing in her constituency. We're going to speak to her about the postponement of the local government election also. So without further ado, let us bring in the lovely lady, Dr. Brownberg. Welcome to Make We Talk, ma'am.
Well, good afternoon to you. Well, good evening to you and good evening to your listeners or viewers as well.
Yes, listeners and viewers, yes. Because
Yes.
we're live on Jam Talk Vive Radio.
Right. I'm aware of that.
Yes,
so both
internet radio
on
station.
YouTube as well as on
Right, yes,
radio.
yes.
Absolutely.
Dr. Burke, tell me what the work you're doing in your constituency.
Oh, okay. So, the constituency is one of those that actually has one ZOZO that's established in Greenwich Town. So, we have some work doing with that. And since the government deemed it fit to locate one there, you can imagine that, therefore, that having a safe and secure environment in our communities is a real challenge for us.
Yes.
So that is something that we have been working on using various means, talking on the corner, getting the youths together, walkthroughs with the police and the team, bringing other agencies in and so on. In fact, on Monday, we have the first in this series of community meetings in a kind of town hall setting, where we are going to have as the main speakers the Water Commission and the JCF, because those, for the community where we're having that particular meeting, those are the two most important issues. Water is a real challenge there and elsewhere. It's a challenge. So we're working with that. We have been in touch with NWC, and we are doing that first meeting, and they have agreed to also ensure that they are at a couple of the others to be able to engage the residents with that. I'm also I also made a request to the minister for some chucking of water, so I'm waiting on that. I think that should be done shortly, so that at least we'll have some relief. But of course, in 2023 is not good enough. And this we're not talking about because of the water lock-offs or because of, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the general condition of the issue of water supply, of potable water in the constituency. It still remains a problem in Kingston and St. Andrew, in Southwest St. Andrew. So it's one of the things that we are dealing with, and I'm hoping that this is a year when we kind of move to some kind of resolution around that. Yeah. So some of the other things would include, we are doing 2 community signs just now. Persons sometimes come in the area and say they can't find the place.
Yes.
And because there is that reputation in terms of not being safe, we want to make sure that persons coming in have markers and they get out easier, so that they can come in and realize that there are areas that are really okay, and that they can come and visit freely. So that's what we're doing. We also have a couple of parks that should get underway shortly as well, because we also believe that it is important from very young to make sure, well, both the very young as well as the older ones, to make sure that they have these common areas where they can play. You want the toddlers to come out and play, you want the youth to come out and kick ball, and that they have a space, that is made for that. So I have a couple of those that should come on stream between February and March, before we get to the close of the financial year, for example. So that's that. And then we have on Waltham Park Road, what has been a sore eye for so long. I know that the teachers, principal, and parents from St. Peter Claver have always been talking to me about what can we do right there by St. Joseph Road and Waltham Park Road. So we are going to be putting a safety rating, because to make going to and from school in that vicinity a little safer, but we're also going to be doing it in a way to see, and we're partnering too with the parents to make sure we can provide a space that is a beautiful, nice green space, fixing the sidewalk. They're putting up the safety railing to see if we can prevent the kind of dumping that takes place there. We know that that's not going to be sufficient to do, so we're going to have to also partner with the National Solid Waste Management Authority in terms of the kind of public education that needs to happen, in particular to businesses along that stretch. Although we are also aware that individuals take their garbage from elsewhere and just drop it off on their way to and fro. So these are some of the challenges that face us that we are currently working on.
So, what about as what Dudley said, the fire hydrants on Hagley Park Road? They are figurines. What about those? Are you going to get the NWC and also, Stephen Shaw, whosoever, to get the water into them?
Well, we will be talking to NWC about that as well. I do know, though, that the fire hydrants are the responsibility of the local government, the Ministry of Local Government, and therefore the municipal corporation. So that's something that we have to do. We're hoping to have the KSAMC at some of these meetings that we're having as well.
But what I don't understand, Dr. Burke, is how is it that you can build a nice, smooth highway or whatever I want to call it, and you just have the fire hydrants there, there's no water in it?
I really can't understand that. I just assumed that the hydrants would have been retrofitted, whatever work that was needed to be done, that would have been done, and that we would have water in them. Because the truth also is that in that general area, whether it is at Majestic Gardens, whether it is by Cockburn Pen, just in that general area of Hagley Park Road, we have a lot of fires from time to time as well. And sometimes, over the Christmas, for example, in that space, we probably had at least 10 families that were totally burnt out. Yeah. And I can't tell you what role the fire brigade and how long it took to come made, but I'm sure that all of that would have been made easier if there was water readily available in the hydrants nearby.
Yes, because even the budget supply literally burned down.
That's true. Absolutely. They did, and that they would have been right there too.
Right.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
what they must remember, that you have the mustard seed community in that area there, where
Right,
a lot of
just
kids,
a stone's throw away.
yeah, with
Absolutely.
a lot of
Yeah.
disabled kids. So I think, the local government ministry need to do something about those fire hydrants.
It is one of the items that's on the agenda for this round. I mean, the community meeting that we're holding now, we had started prior to COVID. COVID came in and kind of disrupted all of that. And having meetings online was not practicable, was not a
Right.
practical solution for our community. So we kind of came out of that. In 2023, we have started. So we have begun. We like to do them at the beginning of the year. So it also helps us to set the agenda for some of the things that we do during the year. So first I had a meeting with some of the community leaders, and they're anxious to get back into having the sports competitions, into having more of the same community meetings, and so on, just spaces so that they can begin to talk about community issues, see one another, and come up with solutions that we can implement. And when you have community meetings like these, and individuals are part of making the solution, finding the solution. When we come to implement them, these are not my solutions that we are implementing. This is what the community has come up with. And we have such a greater buy-in, and such a greater passion and engagement from community members. And that's what we're hoping to recapture with these meetings.
What about the road from 3 Mile or 6 Mile to downtown Kingston that has been building from Wappy, Kill Philip, and Philip dead?
Well, the last of it was that they were actually laying some water pipes, if you would remember.
Yes.
And so most of that is complete on Spanish Town Road itself.
Right.
The final part of it, as far as I know, would have been that they laid now some additional pipes from Spanish Town Road along Waltham Park Road back to Hagley Park Road.
Yes.
And so what that means is that those roads were dug up. I see that they have started to fix them. Not that I'm pleased with some of the fixing of the road, because you definitely see the trench, that was dug up. And we're hoping that when we have a little rain, that part doesn't get eroded, so the roads degenerate. The bigger thing about it, though, is that we were hoping that having laid the pipes on Spanish Town Road, having laid the pipes on Waltham Park Road, that we would really have better supply of potable water in the area, and we are not finding that to be so. The other day when I reached out to NWC, they said that there was some issue with the pressure as they were testing the pipes, and so they had to shut it down for a while. But believe you me, the residents, they have been patient. You know, they really, really have been patient. I'm at a point where I've said to them and I've said to NWC that anytime the people on Gutter Road, I'm going to be right there with them with my placard because I'm tired. And so we are starting this round of meetings, inviting the NWC, and they have agreed to be there. So I'm hoping that we can make a difference with those.
I have our good friend, Mr. Wayne Lonesome, just joining us, Dr. Angela Brown Burke.
Good to see you, Wayne Lonesome.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. I know you're ready to burn a fire.
Yeah, man, we just want some we just want some fire.
Okay, I know.
Yeah, man.
You know,
Good to see you.
Yes, man.
Dr. Burke, I'm going to let Mr. Lonesome ask you a question also, but let us finish this.
Sure.
So they have laid all the pipes on the Spanish Town Road.
Yeah.
Did they give you a timeline to say to you, okay, MP, we're going to finish at XQYZ? Because this has been going on for a long time, inconvenient to a lot of people.
Well, but I'd say this much. They finished the Handley Park section and that section by the Purchase and Similar Square. And Majestic Gardens, for example, and Copper Pen, their water had improved. Of course, they then had some problems again with the pressure and testing those pipes, shut it down, and they came back up. I'm not sure really what is happening because in Majestic Gardens, the water is still spotty. People are still complaining about the inconsistency with water. And as I said, in the roads off Spanish Town Road, we're still getting problems around that. In fact, we have had to be calling Water Commission to beg them to truck some water here and there. And I mean, apart from the fact that when they truck water, it is so inefficient. It causes so many problems in the communities because you have, when the truck comes, you're coming at the top of the road, and every time the truck comes, you start at the top of the road. And so basically what happens sometimes, you never get to the bottom of the road, and you can imagine the kind of pressure that creates in a community. Because you know what water is and what we use water for. You use it to wash, you use it for household chores, you know, to clean. I mean, believe you me. So it is a problem, and is one of the first entities that I called upon for the round of town hall meetings that we are going to have in the community across the constituency is the NWC, because it still remains a huge, huge problem for us. A huge problem. And they would kill me if I didn't talk about East Avenue. East Avenue was made one way to facilitate all of that work.
Yes.
The work now is basically done, and individuals who live in Greenwich Town can no longer easily access their home because East Avenue is one way going, what is that now, south. So
Yes.
individuals who could have easily come down Maxfield onto East Avenue and then turn into can't. And that is something that I have been also talking about and imploring to see if something can be done about that as well.
Dr. Burke, one more thing I get, I'm going to come in. Isn't it a shame that this country is well renowned as land of wood and water, and we have not built a water reservoir in how many years? Jamaica has little springs all over the place.
Yeah.
And you're saying to me that every year, every single year, whether the PNP in power, the JLP in power, there's a drought in this country and they have this shutting off water and whatever. I think it is a shame, and I think we need to do something about it, Dr. Burke.
No, you're absolutely correct that it has been a shame, and I believe that as we said, time come for us to have a new dispensation. It's 2023, and these are modern times. We cannot have our families, we cannot have our communities without water, and for some of them, it is during the drought. I want you also to be clear that in some communities, it doesn't depend on drought. it's almost year-round that they are without water. But you are correct that we have to find a way to get water to our communities. And believe you me, the solution is not about privatizing NWC either. Right? Because you want to make sure that everybody has access to water.
Wayne?
Hey, just coming in, just a blaze some fire, come a bex about the whole Cuban ID and them things. They say, blaze some fire upon the security minister. Come on, now, I'm a hurt us, you know. Them a hurt us. And you know, me not play Jeffrey. None at all. Yeah, but I'm going to talk about that too, you know. But
we're going to talk about that because we have to talk to Dr. Burke about local government and
no,
all.
Talk about that too. But I'm going to say something about the water though, because in your community, in your constituency, we notice the road where them built, where these people built. When rain fall, you just talk about joke, but when it's a driver a bed, you know.
Yes, I know, right?
Nothing in there when after those people place our secondary road and them thing there. What the government going to do about these things?
No, they have to fix it. I mean, I'm not sure if that time that they normally give to look at what the issues are, but you are correct. And it's particularly a problem because I don't know if you know that there's a school, a primary school that is right as you go the bump. Yes. Covered Gardens, primary and junior high. And therefore, every time there's the rain falls and it ponds there's a problem because the vehicles are driving right there. Children are passing on that little strip that is the sidewalk, and so they're at risk. And as you know, the whole of that intersection is really a danger to pedestrians as well. So that too will have to be fixed. But I agree with you that I don't know what happened to the engineering and the design because they must have been able to anticipate that. I remember the first year they started to do that. A number of houses on Spanish Town Road got totally flooded. The last time they weren't flooded, but so that at least they were saved then. But the road itself, there's really far too much ponding taking place there. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And notice also Marcus Garvey Drive, that turn a lake. Me think a lake and Toria. When rain falling up. Sometimes people ball and they turn lake and Toria, you know.
That's a huge problem. That's a huge problem.
Huge. Them need to do something and we're talking about fast, very fast, quick.
And I don't know if you know that the last time when they actually expanded Marcus Garvey Drive, they did not make any provisions for carrying the water and the drains on the side. I was mayor at the time and I thought that was an error. I said it to them then. They said they didn't have the money in the budget, but I mean, that's one of those penny wise and pound foolish. And I think we're going to need to do something about that, for sure.
But it never make no sense that them fix the road because me know every road where you have fixed, if I put in proper drainage system, then you deal with it. If the road are gonna smash up.
All the time people know that you don't fix the road and don't deal with the drains and the sides. So I agree with you.
All right. I could come to the local government issue. Because we talked to the finance minister the other day, a couple of days on my program. He called me and wanted to come on the program and explain some things. But we know them make some money, the first $1 trillion budget. And we don't feel nice about it. We don't feel nice about it. None at all. Can't feel nice about it. Because maybe they might take 300 and add or 400 billion to pay off back loans and with other things with that, right? Pay off loans. The rest of it go run Jamaica business. Okay?
No, and also it's $1 billion worth of taxes that they're collecting from Jamaican people. With the increase in poverty, with people struggling to find food, and all of that. That's not something to boast about.
That's the next thing. So why them say them couldn't find the money now when them say them make 80 billion surplus?
You're going out to the local government elections, am I correct?
Yes.
Hold on for me. Sure. Hold on for me, Dr. Burke. Hold on. Wayne, before we go local government, before we go to local government election, let us play the clip of what the opposition leader said. Then we can go into the local government election because what Desmond McKenzie said in Parliament. I mean, everybody knows is a total nonsense.
Yeah, is a 6 for 9.
Yes, because they have the money.
Nobody believes that. Nobody.
They have the money, but if they call the election, and I dare Andrew to call the election, he's gonna lose.
So would I. I'm with you.
So make up find the clip there. You have the clip with you? Or you want to play it? Yeah, play it.
Hold on there. I have to do some things here. I'm not as well equipped as you know.
You cannot play the audio, man. Oh, you get it. Good, lovely. Now play the clip.
He's doing well, man.
Yeah. Turn up, yes. Turn on that. Turn it on back.
Hold on there. This thing is freezing up. Oh, here we go.
For making the statement today. It's the second time that he has addressed this issue in fairly short order. And he has actually, I believe, intends to table these two bills today and to have them referred to a joint select committee. And I certainly feel that this is a matter that should go to a joint select committee because it has wide and deep implications for the justice system and the society.
Well, I don't think it's a bail.
And
I think I'm playing the wrong clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wayne, do you have the right clip? I think I'm playing the wrong clip. I apologize about that.
Make us see if I can drop.
I apologize
criminal
about
justice.
Make us see if I can drop that part of clip. Yes, I have the right clip here now. Make us see if I can drop. All right. But you might let us get this sound here.
Yeah, go ahead, no problem.
All right, make us put it.
I thought I had the right clip.
Yes, man, I have it here. So make us hear him.
January 25th, 2022, this Honorable House passed an amendment to the Act to temporarily modify the Representation of the People's Act in order to postpone the holding of the general elections of members to serve on the respective councils of the municipal corporation, the general election of mayor for the Postponement municipality. Madam Speaker, at that time, the Act provided the authorization to temporarily to suspend the holding of these elections. And the period, Madam Speaker, at that time would have commenced on the 28th of February 2022 and will end on February 28, 2023. Madam Speaker, during that period, we all understand and appreciate the advent of the pandemic. It is now the case that the worst of the pandemic is behind us, and Jamaica's story to the path to recovery continue to gain substantial recognition and praise, Madam Speaker. And in one comment, it was described as nothing short of a miracle. However, this miracle, Madam Speaker, did not come about by chance. It came out of the hard work and the commitment of the people of Jamaica, led by the most Honorable Andrew, Prime Minister of this country. The resilience and the cooperation of the people of Jamaica, Madam Speaker, is something that we must continue to applaud. They endured all the punches of the pandemic, and they accepted our approach to its management, stage by stage. Today, where we are, Madam Speaker, I want, again, on behalf of the government of Prime Minister Andrew, to express our support to the people and to say to them we will continue to serve them in a very positive way.
Well, I'm never going to pause him because we can't make him get with that, you know.
It's the most boring speech ever in my life.
But we can't make him get with that because, hear this, you know, so the government of Jamaica, you know, him always, you know, like a dictator country, hand your wholeness. Hand your wholeness. You know, for us, you know, come on now.
I think that's part of the problem because they don't see themselves as a government that's serving the people. It's Andrew government, it's Andrew Holness government.
But it cannot
so everything
be.
is about,
It's the government of the
that.
country.
Yeah, absolutely.
But okay, Dr. Brownberg, let me ask this question because at one point you were mayor for Kingston and St. Andrew.
Yes.
At one point you were shadow minister on local government.
That's correct.
Tell me something now. It has been how many years now they have called local government election in this country from 2016?
Well, it was right, absolutely. The last one was held in 2016.
Right.
And it was due in 2020.
Right. Is the mayors and councillors sitting in their seat illegally under our constitution?
No, they're not. No, they're not. We had raised an issue before because they had not come to the parliament with a bill to extend the time. No, that's the first thing that we want to talk about because I believe it's total disrespect. And it shows how little regard they have for local government. Because what the law says is that one is due by the latest February 28th, 2020, where we now, 3.
Right.
What that means is that if by the time we got into February, we knew you couldn't hold an election because you wouldn't have the requisite time to call it, to hold it legally in the time that is allotted. But I believe that more than that is required of the minister. The minister should have come to Parliament earlier to tell the people officially that it is not being held, rather than having this guess and spell game and so on. I'll tell you though what has happened. About 16 seats are currently vacant, either because persons have died or they are ill and unable to represent. That is 16 across the island of the 223 or whatever. But bear in mind that many of them thought that when they went back in 2016, that 2020 would have been the end of their tenure as councillors for different reasons. You might have been there for a long time, you might have tired, you might be fed up, you might believe that this is it. What has happened is that the government is basically forcing those individuals who don't even have an interest anymore in serving the people, in being there, and basically doing little or nothing. So in terms of the accountability, that is something. For the 16 or so seats where there is no council there, it is managed by the mayors. But bear in mind, the mayors don't have anybody on the ground. When somebody on the ground has a problem, who do they go to? Because there's no council there. You see what I'm saying? And so what it means is that we have left those 16 divisions and the residents there without representation, without someone to call, to go to make sure that the work is done in terms of what is needed in there. So when you have them plus those who want to leave, what it means is that is really how you set up local government. Because after a while, people begin to say, but this doesn't make any sense because we have been so long without an effective representative. I mean, what is the importance? Why should we have it? So I believe that it undermines democracy and it undermines the confidence that we're trying to build in local government. In addition to that, the 3 reasons that the minister gives, I don't even think the minister himself could believe that those could be real reasons around that.
When?
So, all right. So, we notice them talking about Portmore, cut off Portmore to another parish, not in the 15 parish. That's totally stupidness. Portmore right now, as it stands, is a dormitory. It don't have any hospital. It don't have a lot of things. It never built. You see, like how we live as a Jeffery.
Yeah.
And me have everything around me. Them place didn't build that way. You understand? So they have to leave out of the dormitory, come and work in a Kingston and St. Andrew, and then go back home at night time. You see me I say? And then you want to turn that in a parish by itself. And
But can I tell you,
it.
the 2016 bill though, the 2016 bill that we had,
Yes.
local government bill that we had, gives Portmore as a city municipality the very same rights, responsibilities, the very same thing. There's nothing that becoming a parish that they can do on becoming a parish that they cannot do today. Nothing. And in addition to that, what the government is contemplating is removing the right of those who live in Portmore to choose their mayor directly. Currently, that is the only place where every single voter votes for the mayor. Everywhere else, you vote for the councillors come together and they choose a mayor. Portmore was where we started, with the Portmore residents choosing the mayor. Now, what was intended is that having done that, we would have looked at the lessons learned. If there are any issues now, let us fix that to make it better. And the other municipalities should be looking to go in that
Same way.
direction.
Yes.
In fact, Portmore, because they have a directly elected mayor, can actually, with the requisite number of signatures, have a recall in their mayor.
You
Nobody,
see that?
no other parish can.
Yes. And now with that alone, you know, can you imagine now? You have a JLP mayor, but the PMP have most of the seat. So you find out you get a better balance because they have to work together for the people.
Absolutely.
So if you do that and you vote for your mayor, it's a better concept than what you do, you know, you vote for councillors and who win.
It is, but this is
that kind of yes,
gerrymandering
was a
by the
better model.
JLP.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You
This
know,
is an attempt at gerrymandering by the JLP to change the boundaries so that it could be in their favor. And for me, this is basically what it is about.
Politics.
Absolutely.
Dr. Burke and I'm Wayne. I never know that Portmore voted for their own mayor. You know. I
Yes.
thought
yes,
it
they
was the same concept as Kingston, St.Andrew.
Nah.
No.
I
From
never know.
George Lee. Right? From George Lee, right?
Absolutely, from
George
George
Lee.
Lee. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, from George Lee time. Yeah, man.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Well, you learned something tonight, Jeffrey.
Yes,
So
I learned something, and I'm going to say this to Dr. Burke now.
Remember, I'm a library, you know.
Yes,
It's a library,
indeed.
not just a lexicon. It's a
Indeed.
library.
Dr. Angela Brown Burke, for instance, saying that the Labour Party do what they have to do and whatever, and they change everything. When the People's National Party get in, can they change it over? Are you going to take a lot?
Yes,
They can.
yes. And in fact, we have put a place on record that without the involvement of the people of Portmore deciding what they want to do, we will reverse it. If we go to the people, if they go to the people and the people are actually involved in making that decision and they decide that this is what they want to do, that's fine because they have the voice.
Yes.
But if the JLP continue on the road on which they are embarked, where it is just a small group and they do not extend the consultation in the way that the mayor and the council want, then we will reverse it.
Yeah,
So-
but you see what them doing though, because instead of you fix the inner city, use some money, do some things. Now you live at Portmore now, St. Catherine. Your title Agava and Portmore St. Catherine. No, you have got to drop off the St. Catherine. You have got to change up everything now. You address everything around St. Catherine. It'll just waste some money. 300,000 people.
No, your civic addresses, all those people with their letterheads and all of that.
Come on now.
Come change
Yeah,
it.
why them not consider not all of them, man?
No, they don't.
Boy, disturbing, man.
So, Dr. Burke, can the People's National Party rally the people of Portmore and say to them, listen, stand your grounds? Not because the Labour Party want X, Q, Y, Z. You people need to stand your ground because you're the only parish or the only way in Jamaica who vote for your mayor. All the rest of you vote for council, the council they select a mayor.
No, absolutely. That is what the council has been doing over there, and the councillors and the mayor that's there. So they have had a real campaign going to engage the persons on the ground in this conversation to make sure that they are aware. Remember that Portmore became a municipality because they wanted it, because they asked for it, because they advocated for it, and we listened and we facilitated it. And so that's kind of what we want to do. They have been complaining that they have not had the opportunity to participate in the conversation that the present government has been leading. And so that is the push on which we are. And, Portmore is probably the one reason of the three given by the minister that people find credible. I believe it really is not credible because I don't believe that the government should have thought that this was an overnight exercise. If you are doing that exercise, you must contemplate that you are going to require time. You must anticipate all of the issues they've been having in terms of the discussions that they need to have and getting to the decision. And therefore, it should have been done in good time. I mean, in 2021, they put it off. In 2022, they put it off. And now in 2023, they're back again. It's now
Three times, put
full
off
years.
3 times now, right?
Absolutely. 3 full years, absolutely, that they're putting it off. And so to say that you are waiting on Portmore, for me, it doesn't cut it because you decided when you started the conversation about Portmore that you wanted to do. You could have done it in a way to allow it to end in time to facilitate the election. But as we have come to know, the government sometimes is just a chaka-chaka government.
So
So why in 2000 when them get up in the height of COVID, when them running the election, they why them never run the 2 election one time? So you just mark the ballot and done. Why them never think of that? Is that cheap and everything? Why them never do that?
I can't even remember the sequence, but I think it was sometime around there or sometime thereafter that I think they drafted a bill and came to Parliament to try and do that. I really don't believe that the government is about saving money. I believe that for them it is about what is in their best political interest, and those are the games that they're playing. In fact, when we did the 3 strategic laws for local government back in 2016, we all, government as we were then, and the opposition, which is now the present government, had an understanding that this idea of not holding local government elections when they are due, of playing footsie with it, had to stop because that was not in the interest of anybody. And it was only serving to undermine the legitimacy and the confidence in the system. And the first time we had an opportunity to test our commitment to that was in 2020, and the government failed. And that was 2020 for 2021. They came back in 2022, failed that test, and 2023, and failed that test. And I raise it because the JLP like to put in the argument which government had held the elections for how long. All of that is true and in the past. But in 2016, we passed some bills that drew a line in the sand. And so we have turned a new leaf, and it is time for us to honor the commitments that we have made.
So let me ask a question here now. Can the people of Jamaica petition the person who has the power in this country, which is the GG? Can the people of Jamaica petition the GG and say, listen to me, you tell Prime Minister Holness that we need local government election? Can that be done?
I think a petition can always be done, but I believe that the bill gives the authority to the Minister of Local Government.
Oh, that is Desmond. Okay.
Yes. That's what happens with the Local Governance Act. So
And
that is part of it. But the truth is, how it was set up, we never intended or expected this to happen. You had a 90-day window, which was the leverage, the leeway you had. To believe that 90 days instead of 3 months has now turned into 3 years is unimaginable. Unimaginable. And I believe says more than anything else the kind of disregard that the JLP has for local government and how little they think of it.
You know, Dr. Burke, this shows to the people of this country. And I know a lot of people are going to say, because I'm going to get called when I finish this program from members of my family, I know that.
Well,
everybody know that Jeffrey cares zero.
No, but Jeffrey,
not because I may have a name of a Tavares, that doesn't mean that I'm a part of the Labour Party.
You don't see, you're my uncle that you have to just rough him up little today because me and I foolishness.
Let me say this.
Yes, man.
The time has come for our people to stand up and call a spade a spade. We can't have a government who has no regard for the constitution of this country. has no regard for the human rights of the people of this country. And if the election is constitutionally due,
Yeah.
why couldn't you put away $1 billion or how much $1 billion to uncall the election? And by the way, why do we have to have so much money for call election? $1 billion could help fix KPH.
It's good, you know, they tell us what the costs are. I mean, they have the inputs in terms of the training, in terms of the ballots,
EOJ?
in terms of the EOJ, right? So it would be the EOJ who would come up with that. But I want to say, because we spoke about the Portmore case, the other two reasons that the government gave for putting off the election just tells you how insincere they are. So the second one really was about the high level of uncertainty in the global economic environment. No, really. If you're using that as an excuse, it means that whenever it suits you, as long as things kind of look a little shaky, and that has been almost all of your lifetime and my lifetime, there has been some level of economic uncertainty. And if that is the reason why you're not going to call an election that is due, that is 3 years past due, then something is wrong. Yeah, they also spoke about the high cost at a time when they are boasting about how much the economy has recovered and all that they have done. As you said earlier, how much more they collected that they had not budgeted for. So what that means is really a lack of political will. And I think that most people have seen it for what it is. None of these are the real reasons. Yeah, it is a lack of political will. They don't want to call it. Why they don't want to call it, they must know. We believe that the elections are due 3 years past. Bear in mind, the people who came in 2016 have almost served seven years of a 4-year term. Of a 4-year
And when the
term.
election gonna call next year, gonna be them win one time but serving
Two
two terms.
terms. It's 2 terms they have served in the one time, which is really, really, really very bad. And I believe that they should be called out for it. And I believe that, and I mean, I've already seen some of the councils really talking, councillors and the mayors and so on, talking about it and calling them out, because I believe that we should make them uncomfortable in this decision that they have made. As you say, it is time that we're not sitting down and taking it like that. I believe that they need to recognize that it needs to be called. And bear in mind, it's not too late, because although they have said that we have up until February 2024, it actually can be called anytime between now and then. And I'm hoping that at some point, good sense will prevail and they will understand that there are several divisions across the country that they are in need of representation, and that the least the present administration could do is call the elections so that we can settle those issues.
Do they have to go to Parliament to amend a certain part of the Constitution to formulate the local and general election into one?
I'll be honest, I have to revisit the law. I remember that they took a bill to Parliament. What I can't remember was where we ended, if there was still work to be done. I suspect that there might still be work to be done to do it as 2 in 1. But I'd have to double check to see where we are with that bill.
You know why I asked that question? The mayor for Spanish Town, the PNP, Norman Scott, is saying that he doesn't want that. He doesn't want the local and the general to be in one. And I'm saying to myself, why wouldn't you want it to be in one?
I know what him no want, it's cheaper for the country.
No, it is cheaper, but I tell you why most of us who actually believe in local government don't think that that is the way to go. We are already struggling with the legitimacy of local government as a separate sphere of government from central government. And when you put both of them together like that, what we end up doing is watering down what is the significance of local government. And all of this gerrymandering and playing around with the dates is part of doing just that. People in other places, your local government is a real powerful part of government. That is
Yes.
the one that you have direct access to. That is the one where you can call your meetings. The local authorities, the municipalities should be calling town hall meetings, getting the information from people, talking to them about their budget, talking to them about their work plan for the year. That is what they should be doing. They have the authority to call both councils, members of parliament, and other agencies into a meeting to deal with any section of the country. That is what we're talking about. So this idea of subsuming them and putting them under the general election is not a good one. Many MPs are already trying to think that the councillors are their assistants, so there are many
No,
MPs.
it's wrong. No,
It's
but
two totally different things.
yeah,
And
because
I
I
believe it's
noticed,
important to keep it separate.
I heard Warmington
Hmm.
saying his councillors and what. I mean, I say your councillors. No one couldn't vote for me if me I run for a councillor and somebody tell me about me I fit them councillor. The
Precisely.
people them vote for me.
Precisely.
You understand?
So
So
Mayor Scott would have said what he said because he wants it. He wants to maintain the
the separation.
identity and the separation.
But still, you could do the vote and make them know. I want to pass the bill, make them know you is not each councillors or UFA councillor. You're a councillor of the people.
I think they know, but I think
No,
what.
when Rex Nettleford did his report, I remember that one of the things he came back with is that there is a need for real public education about the role of the councillor and the role of the member of parliament, because there is a lot of blurring of the lines and many people are not very sure who is responsible for what. And I fear that instead of helping, when we put it together, it will only muddy the waters. I understand the allure and the attraction of doing 2-in-1 because of the lowered cost. But I'm concerned about that part of democracy.
So we need some public education on it then.
We certainly do. That's for sure.
we need to start on some public education on that. We need to do that.
Dr. Burke, I did political science in school, and I think that's why I love politics so much. But I don't think I'll enter politics, to be honest. Because my family told me I'm too outspoken, they'll kill me.
Okay.
Anyway,
I don't know what to say about me. So
the question I'm going to ask you this:
sure.
do you believe that if Jamaica had set a government wherein you have, we have 3 counties: Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey.
Right.
Like how we have local government. Do you believe that the county of Cornwall have its own governing? In other words, whatever money they make out of taxes stay in Cornwall. Whatever money they make out of money in Surrey stay in Surrey. Middlesex, same way. Do you think that we'd have a better style of governing in this country?
I mean, all of those could be open for discussions. I don't know if you remember that Arnold Bertram, when he was Minister of Local Government, had put on the table something that was similar to that. It was a kind of, we call it regionalization. He didn't really suggest that they should have been by counties, but what he was suggesting is that the various municipal corporations could come together and share resources, so that you would have, for example, better experts, technical experts, because they are paid from the same pool and they would cover not just Hanover, for example, but maybe Hanover and Westmoreland and St. James,
Right.
And therefore you'll be able to hire persons who are better qualified because you're able to actually pay them more and to get what you pay for. And so we had that and we're looking at that. So that is something that we may need to consider just to make sure that we are making the most in terms of the technical experts we have. And as you say, what is an important part of it as well, which is the collection of taxes. Quite frankly, what we also need is really more transparency around the taxes that are collected and how they are distributed to the municipal corporations. Because you know that the property taxes that are collected for the parish should stay in the parish.
Right.
2/3 of the motor vehicle licenses that are collected should also stay in the parish. So for some of the parishes that are smaller, it will mean that they have a smaller economic base. And what that means is either they're going to be topped up from the central government, or they're just not going to be able to service the residents in the same kind of a way as Montego Bay, St. James, St. Catherine, or Kingston, because we have a larger economic financial base to for what we collect as revenue, and therefore how we spend it. Yeah, so that
Right.
is something that we really have to look at.
Tell me something though. The government ever consider, like how them considering Portmore to be the 15th parish without a general hospital. So you're going to tell me you're going to have a 15th parish, and when people sick early morning, them still have to leave and go in a St. Parish and two different Kingston. You get
No,
a thing.
I agree with you that there should be some minimum standards in terms of amenities that a parish should have. And even if there are parishes now that don't have those things, if you're bringing one into being, at the very least, you must make sure they cover that. Yeah.
You know what though? I don't know which parish don't have a hospital because St. Thomas.
No, all of
I can just look at all of the parish and them have a hospital and have everything on it. So
yeah.
I don't know which one
Even
don't
the
have
smallest,
any.
even the smallest of them. No, but I agree with you. A hospital is one for sure. That you need to make sure that you have. That is there.
Dr. Brownberg, before we switch gear to labor and social security,
Okay. Yes.
what do you regret didn't do? What do you regret that you haven't done when you're mayor for Kingston and St. Andrew?
Ooh, what do I regret that we didn't do? One of the things that was really successful, and I say that because I remember the conversations with the police and so on. We used to have a number of events. Gospel on the Waterfront, for example, during Easter, we used to have the Christmas concert, but we used to have several others. And what the police used to say to me, for example, is that before and after these really major events in Kingston, crime fell. I regret that we did not institutionalize it, because sometimes we do things because you see it there, and you do it and you see the impact. But when your tenure has gone, it doesn't remain as something that the city takes on and continues to do. The other is really around St. William Grand Park. We had started to really improve the conditions of St. William Grand Park. People would come in as tourists and sit down in there, take their pictures, like we used to once upon a time. Persons who work downtown used to come in the park and have lunch, sit down and have lunch. And I'm going to tell you what was even more, pleasing. They would come in, have lunch, and they would dispose of what they were eating from in the garbage bins. You know why? Because the whole place looked nice. They felt good. And we had actually expanded that to some of the areas downtown as well, in terms of our roving team, to keep the place clean. I really regret every time I pass St. William Grant Park and have to hold my breath. I'm like, oh my gosh, we made such a difference and such an advance. To fall back as we have is really, really horrendous.
And that is why we're begging you, we're asking you. Dudley Thompson from Roots FM and myself is asking you, please see what you can do to put bathroom facilities in Portia Simpson Miller Square.
Yes.
It cannot continue that our first female prime minister, the square is named after her, and you have people coming in from country and then come out of the bus. They want to use the bathroom to go up on a wall, go stand up on the wall and that kind of thing.
There's nothing there. And there's a taxi stand right there.
There you go.
It's a very busy intersection right there. And I suspect a lot of the businesses there don't really have bathroom facilities that persons could use just coming off the street like that as well. So I've taken that, I have it as a note to make sure that we move on that as well this year.
Yes. We're going to switch gear now, Mr. Lonesome and Dr. Burke, to labor and social security, the PATH program money. I know of a lady, very good friend of mine. I call her Sister Tem. I think she's listening right now. When they told her they're going to give her ATM card to try the trip and hip in, when him can buy it in a dirty girl. Or not him £2 chicken back. The lady went to use the ATM card, put in the thing in there, the machine take the card from her. Would you believe me, Dr. Burke? I went down to the Ministry of Labor with her. And I said to them, she hasn't got the money.
Right.
So can she get back the card and the back money? They told her no. Until
Wow.
this blessed day, that lady has not gotten back that back money. And
Yeah,
I'm
man, that
saying,
is something that's worthy of following up and carrying it through to make sure that justice can be done, because that doesn't sound right at all.
and I'm
That
asking you,
doesn't sound
Doctor.
right at all. If it is in their account, then they should know it is in their account. And if it is not in their account, then they should be able to give it to her. That
So,
doesn't make any sense.
And then,
None at all. But can I tell you, what you have expressed, though, is really an issue that I have been getting, whether it is from pensioners, from individuals on path, that often our agencies don't always treat them with the dignity they deserve. Yes? That sometimes they have to bring others to talk on their behalf, or sometimes they're just not listened to at all. And I'm telling you, when every time I see an ad coming out saying that path beneficiaries can go to this place, that persons with names A to whatever come on this day, persons with last names ending from H to whatever come on this day, I say to myself, there must be a better way. Because this way that they're doing it now, what it means is that every month you almost have to look out for when is your day. You can no longer say to yourself, okay, on the 20th of every month, I need to go in. No, you have to wait to see what the schedule is. And for me, that is a most inefficient way of doing it. It is one that does not take into consideration the people that you serve. Yes? Because you know, if you asking someone to come pick up something every month, give them the date, either the day, the 20th of, or the third Monday, or the fifth Tuesday, whatever. But something that they can write down and keep it,
But,
rather than looking out for an announcement every month.
but not only that, Dr. Burke. Why is it in 21st century Jamaica, when you go collect chip and chip from Western Union, your family send you a PIN number. You're saying to me, of all the money that the Ministry of Labor collecting, they can't put in, design something for the poor pauperizing people of our country to send a PIN to their phone and say, okay, collect the money of Western Union. This is the PIN, this is the amount they're getting. It's same way. The same lady, Sister Tem, went to collect them. They said she's going to get $15,000 word by word speaking.
Yeah.
When she went there, she only get 12,000.
Yes.
But yet
yes.
it said 15,000.
So where did the other 3,000 go?
That's what we want to know. We don't know until
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And that is why
I believe that too often we hear these stories and we don't follow up. And so they just go by the wayside. I believe that when we hear these stories and when we have somebody that's before us, we have to take it to its logical conclusion, because we have to force our agencies to serve our people with dignity and respect. And that is something that I feel very, very strongly about. Very strongly about.
I'm going to let Wayne come in. But before I let Wayne come in, you said something a while ago that get my attention. I remember one day, Sister Tem called me and said, Jeffrey, I'm in a line downtown Kingston to try and get the PIN number. If we go back down, what the place name? MoneyGram.
Yeah.
And she said to me the way how the security guards speak to the people.
Yeah.
I went on my program one day. I was livid that Tuesday morning, you know. And I went on my program, not to leave from home, to say some word, and I supposed to say here. It can't be in 21st century Jamaica.
Yeah.
You're giving people something, and you have some security guards who don't know nothing about part program money.
Yeah.
I tell you what to do.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. It is something that has to change. And we are going to insist on the government in changing that. And if they don't, we certainly are not going to have a system that is like that. You need to treat individuals, whether they're on PATH, NIS, or any of those programs, treat them like you treat somebody who comes into the bank to do business because you value their business that they have there. We have to value our citizens. And so when we have them coming in for things like this, we have to do the proper training of the persons who are interfacing with them so that they know how to answer the questions. If you don't know the answers, how do you direct them to somebody who does? But in talking with them and engaging them, you have to do so with respect and you have to do so mindful. You can't have them stand up under the sun. I'm telling you, sometimes when you look at them, you wonder. I mean, the people who are serving them granny obviously not upon these programs. They don't know nobody that on these programs. Otherwise, they could not allow it to continue like this.
We were having dialogue with the finance minister just a few days ago. And he told us about the PART program and other people on the PART program and doing fine. He said the country doing fine and job and this and then the PART program. And, the PART program, come on, he said chupens, but I never call it no chupens. So, in my mind, come here, I like listen to him, I like dissect the things. And when you hear about the PART program and somebody write to me and make me know, say, if you have fridge and you have TV, you can go on the PART program. But we want to tell him, right? We know what, and them $3,000 and $4,000 them per month and these kind of things. You can't feel proud of putting our people on PART program. You have to try graduate them after PART program. Better jobs and better things. And so the country will move to the right direction. Not for tell me say you want to put more people on the PART program as a government and you say you do good.
No, you're absolutely correct. The truth is that everybody who needs PART needs to be on PART. But it is also important to make sure that PART is not a place you go to stay. PART is supposed to be something that is a help, is a hand up. And so what needs to happen in terms of these programs is that there needs to be a program, whether it is around the skills training, capacity building, so that you train them so that they leave with a skill that they can actually be employed. Whether it is around internship, as trainees, so that they then are going to be able to be part of the workforce. I saw some of your comments and somebody saying, what is the PNP doing about these things? And I want to be clear, I do not understand why persons ask about what we are doing about these things. At this point, we can only talk. We are not the government. It is time people hold the government responsible for where they are failing. Every time you point out a failure of the government, what is PNP doing about us? Put us there and I can show you what we're going to do about it. Because the reason why we are complaining about it is because it's not right. It is because we think something else needs to be done about it.
Dr. Burke, I know you don't have enough time with us here because, it's past your snooch time.
It certainly is.
But before you go, I want you to tell me something. I want to ask you this. I'm going to go back to the PART program in a minute, but I have to say this to you. Jamaicans who go overseas and farm work. Did you know that the modern day slavery starts from within Jamaica?
It starts from in Jamaica, you're saying?
Yes. Because when you have Jamaican citizens, have to go down to the Ministry of Labor, stripped naked.
What?
And I can get people from Canada, Dr. Burke, Jamaicans who on the farm work program to have a 3-way call with you and they tell you.
How you better strip naked? I don't understand what they're doing.
Strip naked and do what?
Examine them down there in front of other people.
Wow.
This is not the first, the second and the third time I hear about this win.
No,
you have to call them, I have to hear that.
Very interested in talking to persons about that because those are the conditions that when Portia Simpson Miller insisted that we build a modern facility, it was because people coming in from country and so on, she thought that the conditions that were there were inhumane and she created that modern center there. So I cannot believe that with all of that, we are having those conditions you're talking about. It's absolutely not acceptable.
That is what the gentleman, and it's not more than one, tell me. I am supposed to
I would really love off the air to be able to speak with individuals so that I can speak more authoritatively and so that we can petition and ask the questions where we need to ensure that those things are not allowed to continue. But I thought you were actually going to ask me about the report because that is what I want to know. because I intend to ask in Parliament. We heard with all the complaints that were made about the conditions of some of our farm workers. We haven't heard anything. The government said that they sent a team up. We haven't heard anything since then.
I was going to go to you with that because I am in contact with some of the liaison officers. When a liaison officer, some of the Canadians, citizens, who are not even Jamaicans.
Right.
At one point, they have a demonstration, and they said to me, Jeffrey, I want to bring it live. I said, look here, I will put my YouTube channel available to you all. Just give me the live feed. Right. And I had a live feed from there, from Ontario, Canada.
Right.
With them, and they're talking to them, and they're demonstrating, asking for help. The Jamaican government has left these people, send our Jamaican citizens into modern day slavery, and nothing has been done about it. And the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Mr. Samuda, went up there and said he must see nothing wrong.
I was that statement. Utterly ridiculous.
Not only that. A lot of them come to my shows that I keep here. Okay, my place, my place is.
Yes.
So a lot of them come to my show. I know a lot of them. Okay? When them come up and thing and you keep show them come on my show and everything. When you have called some who come out and say, we're not going to mash up this, it frightened me. Because I know people who go through the worst thing and some of them stay back and them get married and them all right now and everything. You understand? You call the people them liar. And then him send some people below him, but them come find out the truth.
Yeah.
But we want to hear about it. And the Prime Minister not move him from his position.
We had called on him to be moved. We really want now to hear the report from the team that went up there, because from the reports that the Canadians have, it is obvious that everything is not a bed of roses up there. And therefore, we need to know what the issues are. We need to make sure, as the farm workers themselves said, they want a secure and confidential mechanism to make complaints where they are treated seriously.
And you have some liaison officers who may not care tonight, They licky and nyami. They sell out their Jamaicans for tuppence halfpenny for the people who own the farms. And
I did hear
something nice right now
about not getting justice, as they call it, from the liaison officers. But that is the reason why we want to see the report. The report must include these findings. What is happening with some of the liaison officers? What's happening with some of the
Clive. Hold on, Clive. Make I do something nice here. Make I show you how serious am I place. Clive. Yeah. Join on your thing. You're on my live. Yeah, you're on live with me and Angela Brown Burke.
You go.
Dr. Angela Brown Burke and Jeffery Tavares. All right. You tell me something, because you feed the farm worker them all the while, you and your wife. You can just tell them something going over there for me. And what you see and what you and your wife do for those people over there.
Oh, well, first of all, I was a pleasant good night and whatever. Angela and Rattigan. Big up yourself.
Jeffrey.
Good night.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, Paris. I have a place named Paris. So they usually, me and my wife usually have this they call it constructive donation. We always take a coat and them little thing, gloves and boots and them thing there. Food. They always cook food and carry go with them. Because them in some dilapidated situation up there. Yeah, so I was fear like a thing that we should take up and go up and look for them. My piece, me send you some picture.
Yeah, you send me them. I have them. You have to join them out of the
right. So yeah, so my wife and her sister in them like a donation where she always go up there, seek them out, so them need us, and make sure she does through a donation, she get them and they always go up there. Have a little vibes with them and keep them going, Them situation up there no nice, my brother. No friendly changes going on, but condition no nice, And them always attack and complain about it, So we always do a little job now. We always do a little thing now for go up there and try to cheer them up,
So let me ask you something, sir.
You might ask you something. Listen, guys.
Let me ask you something. Yeah. Because we have the opposition spokesperson in Labour with us, and Dr. Angela Brown Burke. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Is the farm workers living in a
Yeah.
deplorable condition, and are they, because some of them is sick and they can't get the medical care they're supposed to get? Because I've spoken to some, and the liaison officers, they don't business with them. All the liaison officers want to do is to send them back to Jamaica to their family. And some of them come back to Jamaica to their family and they can't do nothing. They come back sick. And they don't have the proper health care. Are you hearing something like that too, sir?
No.
Yeah, well, as I said, when we went up there first, it was around 2015, 2016, 2017. We went up there twice. And that was their complaint. They said they're not getting no good treatment, but them wasn't getting no treatment, no good treatment, and them boss treat them with scant regard and them thing, force them to do things beyond all them work hours and force them to do things beyond them work hours, and the condition was nice. And when you go to Paris and we see the situation, them try to put out them best just to accommodate us. Yes. And we talk to some of them and them say, boy, Clive, to be honest, boy, we just there about me not think me I come back. I remember one year I go up at the apple farm and them do apple. And the bird them complain bitterly. Saying, and right now, this is someone of my St. Thomas to me there Jamaica the idea. And man them say, boy, Clive, me left, I don't go back up the same because the man I treat you like hog, and not giving no respect and nothing. So me not go back up there after that. So me don't know what take place. Still when me hear on the news, it never surprised to me when me hear on the news the other day about the treatment. It never really surprised because we them that complain about it before it broke out in the media. So I was one of them things, brother. So the man at them time, the man never comfortable. Some of them go and come back. And when you go up there back and I ask some of the youth, them say they not come back. So treatment never right. See it.
Well, I want to thank you and your wife and the sister and them for doing what you did for them. But we really have to get that kind of information documented and insist that the government doesn't ignore those issues. And so there was a big thing made about the group that went up there to visit and to investigate. We need to have an account of what they found and what are the recommendations to improve those conditions.
Dr. Burke.
Thanks, Sir Clive. Thanks. Yeah, man.
You're welcome. Dr. Burke, I am going to have a program with some of the liaison, with some of the people who go up on the farm work program and people who are helping them up there. Okay. And I'm going to invite you to come back on. Between myself and Wayne, when I have it on my program here. Because I
would really want to listen in and to listen to them about some of that.
No problem, because it can't continue like this.
No,
and the minister, it is such a shame. The minister who's supposed to assist the people, he's a servant of the people of this country, gonna say that they're lying?
Yes.
I know. As I said, I was extremely disappointed. What you say you don't want?
I couldn't believe that.
No, I was
a minister. I remember in a Jamaican, a minister represent us.
Absolutely.
And he must say, you lie, I want to now mash up this.
The first thing you need to do, if it's a good program, and I'm going to be one of those to say that because I've seen the good it has done. Even some of the persons who are in the program, I'm talking from the owners, the farm side, they will tell you, because they have an agreement about the standard that should be kept. So it's not that you are asking to do something that is unheard of or that isn't part of it. The official agreement lays out the conditions.
You know what?
Those conditions need to be improved. Let's improve it.
You know what?
Hold on here for me, Wayne.
It sounds as if they are not living up to the standards.
Hold on here for me, Wayne. I am being told by some of the people that this has been going on from the time they start the farm work program in this country. And nothing has been done about it. No, and it's getting worse.
No, Jeffrey, remember, the liaison service came into being because there was no one to speak on behalf of the farm workers. And while they were there, there was no intermediary between them and the authorities. And so we recognized from day one that it wasn't a bed of roses. So the liaison service came in to play that role. What has to happen with them in there is that you have to make sure every so often that you are checking the system, making sure it's working as it should, and making changes as necessary. Which is why it is important when the people who are in the program say, yo, listen, this thing about now, we can't take it. You have to listen to them. You can't start by telling them it's a lie. You can't start by saying you don't want them to mash up the program. We want a program, but we want a program that treats them like human beings. That is non-negotiable.
So Dr. Burke, the liaison officers is being paid by the taxpayers of Jamaica?
I would imagine so, because they are employed, they are contracted, they're an extension service of the Ministry of Labor, you know.
So that means that they're being paid then?
Yes.
So if they're being paid, and they're ignoring the well-being of the Jamaican citizens who are on that farm work program, we need to fire them and
Which
fire
is
the
why
minister.
I keep going back to the investigation and the report, you know, because the report would tell you, for example, the farms where there are these problems, what the liaisons did or didn't do. Yes, because all of these things we have to know.
Because you see,
none of those complaints should have been made without a liaison officer being aware of it and doing something about it.
All right,
hold on, Wayne. Let me say something to you. I call a liaison officer, and I told him who I was. The man said, "Look here, I'm not time for me. Can't chat to him, sit there." And he hung up the phone.
So I'm gonna tell you something now, because some of the liaison officer them work with the farm owners them.
Yes.
Them sell out to one people. Now you have some farm topside me, you know, up in a Barry, and you have some farm back that way. When Carl Samuda came over here, and him say him go which farm, him couldn't take them days down go the farm, cause me know the place.
No. Yeah.
And he go the farm. I said that is foolishness. Because me know what the farm them and everything.
Eh? Probably announced when he was going, so everything fixed up nice and clean.
Yeah, the one them where him go, cause him couldn't go so much farm and drive them say do this and that, because them they like in a St. Catherine. We know where the farm them at. And them thing. A matter of fact, me have too much number with some of them. We work on the farm or complain.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah, man. Somebody talking about yes.
Can you answer that question, Dr. Burke?
Yes, I can. In fact, I did talk to the minister about that, because when we went into the pandemic, they stopped doing all of the home visits and so on. And I did talk to the minister about that, because people need to have a pathway, know how to follow up with when they've come off the investigation and the appeals, because there is an appeal process. Most people aren't aware of it. So if you contact your path office, the officers there should be able to give you some information. And what you can do is to tell them that you want to appeal the decision they have made, and you want them to review the case.
Okay. When we're gonna ask the lovely lady, because she needs to go in and take her nap. So Wayne, we're gonna wrap up. Your final word, Wayne, to Dr. Angela Brown Burke and to the people of our country.
Dr. Angela Brown Burke, just keep on pressing on the government. Yeah, because you're the opposition, part of the opposition. Just keep on, because we are the opposition to Jeffery. And I'll be a volcano of finger about when things are right. I'm gonna take talk. So we just say keep on pressuring the government, because them have to do better. We have to hold them to account. So we want to see the opposition just keep on pressuring the government. More and more work. We know that the local media houses all carry what the opposition carry, because sometimes some of them in a pocket. I'm gonna talk straight, Jeffery. Because we know some media houses. Some media, and you know my back, Brad. So some media houses, say them are mouthpiece, Me not talk about no wide and nothing, no narrow, and no nation and nothing. You understand me? You understand? Professional.
Thanks for that. I mean, the opposition intends to do the job that is ours. We represent the people. We have to make sure that there is balance. Where the government is failing, we are not going to resign. from calling them out. If they're doing something good, we will say that. And it doesn't matter all of the persons who come together to say that we shouldn't be saying no, we should be cooperating. We cooperate where we believe there's a basis on which to cooperate. Outside of that, you will be hearing us standing up in defense of the people of Jamaica, because that's who we serve.
All right, good.
Dr. Burke, I want you to address the PAT program and also the Farmwork
Yes,
before
yes.
you do. Because we're going to have a program, you and I are going to have a program pertaining to the Farmwork people. We're going to
No,
get
but as
them on
I
the
say, I'm ready for the
Jeffery Tavares
farm work.
YouTube
I'm
channel.
ready for that. The minister
Yes.
had sent a team up who want to know what is happening there. We deserve a report, and it's not a private report either. We need to know so that we can know what was found, what you're going to do, what you're recommending, what changes have been made, what changes will be made. And in terms of the PATH program, I'm looking at that as well, because how persons are treated, how they get on, how they come off, how they appeal. The children in school in terms of what they get as an allocation for part, Kevin buy a patty and a bag juice as lunch. So these are all issues that we have to deal with, because if you have your vulnerable people on a program like this, certainly for students who are in school, for example, and those most at risk, it must be meaningful. It must be meaningful. You must be able to give him one proper meal at school per day. And this one day a week, I saw a circle that went out a couple of weeks ago saying that they will no longer be able to give children unpassed lunch because they just don't have any money at school. That can't be. That shouldn't be. And that is not acceptable. And we have to talk out about it. And we have to ask the parents to talk up more about it. I was about to say we want to ask the teachers to advocate on behalf of the students, but I understand the teachers, because trust me, the job sometimes is a thankless one as teachers, and especially what is happening now with the compensation review, where especially classroom teachers, how they're being handled is as if the government doesn't respect them in terms of what they're offering. So these are just some of the things that we have to talk about and that we have to deal with. But the night is long spent.
Yes, yes. And we will talk off air pertaining to Sister Tim and other things.
Sure, please,
Yes.
please. I really want to do that. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Blessings and good night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, for coming on. Thank you. My final word to my people of my country: for all those whose cares has been our concern, the work goes on, the cause endure, and the hope still lives, and the dream for a better Jamaica shall never die. I am Jeffery Tavares, saying thanks to Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, my good friend Wayne Lonesome. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Make We Talk Jeffery Tavares YouTube channel. Until you hear my voice again, may God bless you, and may God bless Jamaica land we love. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.